Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So it seems the lumber industry is still crawling its slow demise to death as we find more lumber mills are shutting down. Just last night, it looks like Roseburg has shut down a veneer plant in Northern California, and this is not a surprise. This is something that we have seen quite a bit here on this channel, as I've tried to share with you from my perspective as a retail lumber yard distributor out in the Pacific Northwest, where I see mill operations, logging operations, and just about everything within this industry. I have some sort of way of accessing information or talking to people, and every single corner of this industry has been really hit with an exceptional slowdown, worse than we have seen essentially since the great financial crisis. And now when we think about what it is that's happening here with the low demand for lumber within the building industry, and it comes from the lack of home buyers. And now buyer traffic within the home builder sentiment is really the focal point of where it is that we need to pay attention to see when it is that this lumber industry is going to shift. Even if it was to get better tomorrow, like if they were to have conditions that was absolutely perfect, it takes a while to ramp up production, to redistribute all the lumber and filling the sluices of the industry. It isn't something that just snaps back overnight. Now, it is something that can be easily done, but if you have ever increasing amounts of slowdown, or even like just the lack of business taking place out there, those logging operations, those smaller mills, most of those stuff, once they shut down, they don't necessarily come right back. And so even if you were to try and ramp up production, you're going to have a difficult time finding the qualified labor to actually ramp that production back up, as a lot of these operations, like I said, once they're gone, they're just gone forever. So I've been keeping an eye on the lumber futures market, and you can really just tell that anything under $550 per thousand is going to be a bad industry. Anything above $550, and a lot of the mills can actually start to profit again. But here it is consistently under $550 per thousand on the lumber futures, and no real sign of anything bringing that up to any kind of level that the mills would be like, yes, we want to ramp up production and start providing more lumber to the industry. Everything that I am seeing right now is quite the opposite. And the longer this goes on with no real reversal in sight, the longer this goes on, the harder it is to come back from. And so I can only assume that the issues that we have within the building industry, as bad as they are now, will get worse into the future, as the idea of trying to actually bring production back to this industry will be incredibly difficult with the lack of supply and the lack of qualified labor and skill to bring in that supply. Anyway, I wanted to keep this one short and brief. Short and sweet and brief. All right, Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.